Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome. So good to see you. I can see you guys joining in. Bear with me a minute. Yep, I can see hands are already being raised. If you want to come on, get coached, just raise your hands. You can do that by hovering over the screen. And at the bottom, it will say raise hand. Hello, hello. Okay, I'm just going to get this going on Facebook at the same time. And if you don't want to come on live to get coached, but you have questions, you can pop them in the Q&A box. Or if you are, well, I'll wait a minute to say what the people on Facebook can do until it's up on Facebook. That would be useful for them. But yeah, you can go ahead and pop questions in the Q&A box, and you can even do it anonymously, which is kind of cool. So just go ahead and start getting going. I'm just gonna make this go live in Facebook, and then in case it wasn't obvious, then it means people are also going to be able to pop their questions in on Facebook. I know sometimes easier to pop on and watch there if we're on our phones or whatever, although I do have the Zoom app on my phone. Hello, hello, lovely people. So good. Got it. We are being live streamed. It's working. So fun. If you are on Facebook, just do me a favor and pop and say hi or test or something to let me know that it's working and you can see me. That would be very helpful. Although if no one's watching on Facebook, that's also okay. And watch there on our phones or whatever. Although I do have one sec. On my phone. This is interesting. There we go. I've muted her. I wondered why I was hearing myself back. Hello, hello, lovely people. So good to see you. So we're going to get coaching today. But firstly, I want each of you to notice something. Maybe this is TMI, but I joined the call a few minutes late today, and I did so because I needed the bathroom. And I know how common it is that we don't listen to our own bodily needs, which can be as basic as getting a glass of water or needing the bathroom. And we're like, oh my God, I must be on time for this thing. But I just want to be that example that you can always go to the bathroom. You can always grab a drink. Nothing is so important. Typically we are not doing the kind of work that's minute dependent, and our health is super important. And by me going to the bathroom, trust me, I am way more available for all of you than I would have been had I been fighting with it for this next hour that we have together. So there's TMI, but also total honesty for you coming in. I can see, hey, hi, lovely. Hi, Dorothy. Hi. So fun. So good. So I can see that's working. Amazing. All right. I'm going to start bringing you on for coaching. If you've got your hand raised, my intention is always to coach everyone who raises their hand. Or pop your questions in the Q&A, like we said. So I'm going to start bringing on Leslie. Welcome. I'm just going to promote you to panelist. Hello, hello. Okay. Yes, video is working.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. Happy Friday.
Same to you. Okay, so for me, I have a lot of rest resistance. Especially right now, because I think I actually posted in the group earlier in the week, and that I'm going through my second divorce right now, and just so that transition and transitioning from being a stay-at-home mom to a full entrepreneur with the business, and this balance of, okay, I need to make this work because it's that whole value thing. I need to prove that I can do, I can take care of myself, and I don't have to depend on everyone. And so it's kind of that I'll rest after I figure it out. Of course, that's not helpful because, I feel stressed and burnt out, and I get to this point where it's my body is like, rest, please. And my mind is like, yeah, but you still need to do this. So I get like flustered and confused and frustrated because I know I need to rest and I want to rest, but even when I just try to like lay down and be like, okay, I'm not going to do anything, I'm still like reaching for the phone and say like, okay, maybe I could post something. I could like just post something in my stories that, hey. So yeah, I'm very resistant.
Yeah, of course you are, because what I'm hearing is you've told yourself you have to achieve certain results so that you can believe something about yourself. And you think that those results come from doing more.
Yeah.
So as long as rest, it's like rest, what the story that you're telling yourself is rest is going to cost you
Yeah.
the results. So of course you're not going to rest.
Yeah.
It's like very
Right.
obvious what's happening, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So you just have a belief that rest is a cost instead of an investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
How might rest contribute to your success?
Um, oh, it allows my mind to settle down and get clearer so that I can show up in a clearer way. I create better content when my mind isn't like, you have to do this now, you know. So it is very helpful, but I feel like I'm just fighting that the belief to get to the point where it's like, okay, yes, fine, I will do it.
Why are you fighting that belief?
This is a very strong belief.
Why fight it anyway? Why fight?
um, hmm. No, I don't know.
Because what do you think happens when you're fighting?
It it prolongs it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stay in a space that I don't want to be in like a longer time than allowing allowing it to happen.
Yeah. And were you here at the start of rest week when we spoke about rest as resistance?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So where do you think fighting falls in to that?
Um, like where in in my story?
Where, so if rest is resistance, even if
Mm-hmm.
you are lying down, if you are fighting with the story in your head that you should or shouldn't be resting,
Mm-hmm.
are you even resting?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
more important than the lying down and putting the phone down and any of that stuff is noticing what's happening there and the
Right.
fighting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What do you think are some alternatives if you don't want to fight with yourself or you don't want to fight with your own beliefs?
Well, acceptance.
Yeah, like, okay, so you a big part of your brain thinks that rest is at the cost of your success.
Yeah.
Why do you think that belief even exists?
It's because of like what I've seen growing up, the stories that we're told to me growing up. Like, yeah, especially around like making money. It's not easy and you have to work hard and you have to keep going. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So we know where it's come from. We know
Mm-hmm.
that you don't want to believe it anymore, otherwise you wouldn't even be on this call.
Yeah.
So what are your options now?
Um, like notice the thoughts and thank them for trying to protect me, because I know that that's what they're trying to do, keep me safe. And explain that, okay, this is what we actually need to create the results that we're looking to create.
Right. It's like, if I want all of you to think about this, if you are waiting for your brain to get fully on board with something where you've been told the complete opposite thing for most of your life, you're never going to do it.
Right.
Right. We don't need a brain that's like 100% bought into the value of rest. We just need to, it's like arguing with someone that doesn't, you can give all your energy to arguing, convincing someone, or you can just stand true in like your belief and let them mutter on the sidelines.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how different does acceptance and resistance feel in your body?
Like night and day.
Yeah. So what if it's not that we need your brain 100% on board? The only thing you need to do is just not argue with the part of your brain that isn't on board.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't need to believe her.
Yeah.
You don't need to argue with her.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I want you all to think about this. When we are arguing with the voice in our head, we are actually arguing with ourselves, and we are actually rejecting a part of ourselves.
Right.
Right. We're like shutting them down. We're like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And from what you've come on and said at the very beginning, like everything that you're experiencing, what you are going through, you want to believe in yourself, but you are intentionally shutting yourself down.
Right. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter about any results you create. You're always going to feel the need to prove it when you're not like having those conversations with yourself, instead of what do you think she wants to hear from you? What do you think would actually benefit you and your goals?
That I'm valuable just as I am.
Yeah. And how much do you believe that?
I'm working on it.
Right. Right. You also don't have to believe that 100%.
Yeah.
To be true.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, we've got like, you don't have to believe the rest 100% is productive or whatever in order to have it.
Yeah.
Valuable.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, you don't have to believe that you're valuable 100% of the time for it to be true.
Right. Yeah.
Which means that we don't have to argue with anything that our brain tells us ever about either of those two things. And if anything, when your brain is saying, I'm not sure if I'm valuable until I prove it, until I achieve this result, you get to then choose how you want to respond.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not really like about trying to force yourself into a new way of thinking then.
Oh yeah, I mean, even the language, right? Force yourself. It's not about
yeah. Right.
It doesn't sound restful to force ourselves into a new
you have to think this, otherwise you're not gonna make it, like no.
Yeah. Even you said like, I need to rest. Even then it's like forcing ourselves to rest, forcing ourselves to think differently, forcing ourselves to achieve something. To like, it's all the same narrative, which is like, what you are now, who you are now is not enough.
Yeah.
Instead of like starting from a place of like, actually who we are now and what we are doing now is enough.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Feels a lot better than where I started off. Yeah.
So let's say you get off this call now, what happens then when it comes to rest?
I listen to when my body's ready for it. Go for it.
And what happens when your brain says you shouldn't be doing this, you've got things to do, you've got results to produce, you've got business to grow, you've not earned it?
I just say thank you, brain. I hear what you say. It's okay. And just continue with resting. Like, yeah. Okay, you can sit here with me if you want. But you're not gonna like dictate what's going on. So.
Yeah. And does that feel doable?
Yeah.
Okay. So how are you feeling now about rest?
a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I just think it's one of those things when we've had such an ingrained belief on one side. Sometimes it's as simple as waking up and at some point every day answering the question, like, why is rest valuable?
Yeah.
Why am I valuable? And
Mm-hmm.
answering those, like, exactly as I am, and answering those two questions with like 5 answers every day. And it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I always think of it like a seesaw,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, we're so like in this, it's so imbalanced, but
Yeah.
we just want to like chip away at the other side
Mm-hmm.
intentionally and proactively.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even,
definitely.
yeah, you can even come share your answers for today in the group if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
Amazing. Perfect. Well, thanks so much for getting coached. I'll see you inside the group.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Amazing. Da, da, da. Okay. Perfect. Natalie, I'm bringing you on. For people that have joined since, just if you want to be coached, just raise your hand. You literally just hover over the page and then go to the bottom, and there's a little hand up, raise hand, and we'll get you coached today. Hello.
Hi. I know you coached me last time, so I have a quick one. I don't want to take up too much time, but who knows what you're gonna say, so I don't know. Okay, so I have a whole bunch. I think this is a bit of a perfectionist thing. I write copy. I noticed how you had said it takes you 5 minutes to write copy and then you post it. And in my head, I'm like, how do you do that? Because I can actually write it really fast, but then it's just a mess, and it's like big clusters of text. It's long things, and for social media, I want to have it spaced out. I want to have some emojis. I want to have some bullets, and I want to have it so it's pleasing to the eye, so people will actually read it. My brain is telling me, you need to do this so people can read it easily, because they won't read a big block of text, and it, like the way that I originally do it is too messy. And I find myself, it takes me a really long time to go through and do that. So I'm like, my brain was like, oh, you need to hire someone to like just clean it up for you. But I don't think that's the answer. So I was like, how can I make that process really efficient for myself? And I was like, Vicky would be the perfect person to ask about this.
Well, what are your ideas? How do you think you can make it?
So I was like, okay, I can see. I was like, well, do it, like thinking about doing it first, just like type it out really nice first. But then I'm like, I've got like 20 things of copy that I've already written, and I don't want to go back and do them and clean them all up. So I was like, I could hire someone to just do those and then try to do them better myself, like, or start doing them differently myself, like just starting them. And then I was like, I suppose I could post it as it is, but I'm like, I think people will read it less, because I will read it less if I'm looking at a big block of messy text. So I'm like, I think that's too imperfect. It'll actually like give me not a result that I want. So I had a list of things, because I did try to coach myself on it first and ask myself how this could work. But the main thing I kept coming up with was hire someone to clean it up for you. But like, my assistant doesn't speak super good English, so she's not the person, and I'd have to hire someone else. And I feel like that's too much. And I feel like you probably don't do that. Like, how do you do it?
Well, also, I would just get really clear on when you say like it takes a long time to do it. Like, how long does it actually take?
I feel like it took an hour. I checked, and I was like, it didn't take me long to write it, because the idea is there. I just type it all out, and then if I could just post it. But it's just, I think I tend to be wordy in my text, so I want to go back and like take out words that are not needed. I'm like, I want to shorten it because it's more efficient that way. People will read it better. Like, I tend to write a lot, so it takes like an hour an email, and I think that's too much. Don't you think? If
Well,
I'm doing 15-hour work week, I'm like, that's a long time to be spending like tweaking a thing.
yeah, I mean, you just get to decide and make the different choices. But for example, it's kind of like when we teach kids after the effect, if I say to a kid, like, don't swear or you won't get candy, and then I give them candy, and they're going to keep swearing, right? So when you give yourself, if you're like, I'm giving myself the permission to, and the time allowance to go over it for an hour, versus like, whatever we write, we are going to post, or we've got 5 minutes of writing and 5 minutes of emojiing or whatever spaces, because that doesn't take long.
Oh, I see. And then
right?
just,
And you just post
and
it.
then whatever's done after that time is done.
Exactly. And then let your
Okay.
brain realize that you're not going to come and clean up its mess and make it all comfortable. And instead it's like, okay, we have good content, we do want people to see it. Because when you say things like, you know, I'm using words that later I don't want to use, like, because your brain knows that you're going to check them later, it's still allowing it. So it's just a matter of being willing to
Yeah,
brain.
I see.
You're
Yeah,
not going to
it's
use
just
more time later to cover up.
okay. Yeah, it's this thing I've been taught about, like, yeah, just get it all out there and then edit it and clean it up later. All the these things that okay. So I don't, yeah,
So
I
that's
can
just the way someone else teaches it, right? And you can totally do it that way. But if you want to intentionally cut down the time you do something, it's just a matter of practice. Like, think about when you first wrote copy versus where you are now. You know,
okay. Okay. Got it. That's all I needed.
amazing. Have fun.
Thank you. Problem solved. You're a genius. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, I'll take you back to attendee. All right, people, raise your hands. We've got no one else with their hands raised. We've got another question that I'm going to answer. And if you want to come on, Martha, you can just raise your hand and we can go more into it. Oh, there she is. Perfect. So good. Okay. And other people, I encourage you to raise your hands. We've got this time to coach. Make the most of this time. Perfect. More people raising. Hi, Martha. How are you?
I'm okay. I wasn't planning on coming on, but I'm just rolling with it.
That's the best way to do most things.
Right?
Yeah. So you said about feeling stuck. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about what's going on?
Yeah. So before I joined Rest Week, I think I had mentioned very briefly, like I just kind of had like a burnout collapse earlier this summer, and just was really reevaluating like all the things that I had ignored for months leading up to it. Like afterwards, I was like, oh my God, no wonder I fell apart. But in the moment, every day, it was just like, get through this day, get through this week, you can rest later, like all of those things. So I've been spending a lot of time and energy and intention in these last probably 6 weeks to say no to certain things, to push something to tomorrow and take a nap. Like I really feel like I've made some progress, which feels really good.
Amazing. Let's just pause there a minute and celebrate, because I can feel your brain being like, but
I know.
Like pause and celebrate that.
Yeah. And it does feel good. And I'm not achieving more or less like work. Like it's just things are redistributed differently.
Yes. So good.
So 6-ish weeks, right? Maybe in week 6 or 7 of trying to employ those habits a little more consistently, and then just had a harder week. Some drama in the job that I'm leaving and just triggered a little bit of stress response, which I noticed then brought me to like just this like feeling like I know all the things that would help me and I don't want to do any of them. I feel like I'm throwing like an adult tantrum.
Yeah.
I could take a walk. I could do thought work. I could like, and I just am like, but I just want to get back in bed, like not to rest, but to like ignore it and just wake up and hope that everything's better again.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to not judge myself for feeling that.
Okay. So are you judging yourself for feeling
yes.
that?
Yeah.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's the thing that you are craving, and then there's the judgment that you shouldn't be craving it.
Yep.
Because it's like what you just said, even about bed, like not in bed to like rest, but in bed to like as though there's like a right and wrong way to be in bed. Right. And the walk is like morally superior than the Netflix in bed or whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of like what you crave is just what you crave. And sometimes our resistance to it and our judgment of it is more exhausting. And like the coaching that I gave at the start of like, what's the relationship with you building with yourself? It's like the parent child or the student teacher, and it's like I know you want to do that, but you're not allowed to do that. That's bad. That's wrong. We're not doing that.
Yep. Yeah, and I think like attaching an outcome to it. Like the reason I'm thinking like that kind of nap isn't as valuable is because like it won't like fix it. And it's like, but what if it's just a nap to take a nap?
Yeah, what if it's just a nap to take a nap? Because what happens when we allow ourselves to just do things just because we want to do them?
For me, I think when I can do that, it just like becomes more of my practice. So I also just like listen to what I want to do more.
Yeah. And what do you think happens when you listen to what you want to do more?
I mean, everything's great.
Ah, right. Okay. So the nap just for the nap. Actually, the way.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You're like, I'm stuck. But what's happening is you're making yourself stuck because you're like stopping yourself from doing what you want to do. Now, it may be that sometimes you lie in bed and you're like, actually, this isn't what I need.
Yeah.
But it's way different to allow yourself to do it than it is to, you know, stuck is the word that you said. And I think that's really it. It's like being stuck with like, this is what I'm craving or this is what I think I want, but I've got so much judgment of it that I'm just not letting myself do anything.
Right. I'm not letting myself do that or the other things that could potentially make me feel better. That's why the word stuck feels so strong.
Yeah. And
which
also,
I think then puts me back in this, like, just get through today and like, you can rest this weekend. And then I'm like, no, I don't want to go back to that narrative. I can't go back to that narrative.
yeah, but also that narrative might still show up again, right? It's kind of like what I was speaking about earlier, like perfectionist mindset or perfectionist thinking of like, I must never have these thoughts or whatever it is. It's like those thoughts are going to keep showing up. They're just not a problem, right? Your brain's like, we mustn't go back to that. And it's like, okay, I can see your fear of that and that's fine. But I'm already a different person than the person that was experiencing that. I'm already so far ahead. That's why I had you pause and celebrate. Sometimes we're so busy moving forward. It's like we're still moving. We don't let it like integrate into our psyche and our being of like, I am the person who rests. I am the person who says no to things. I am the person who will push something to tomorrow because I know that I want space today. Like I already am that person, but we're not going to really see ourselves as that person as we're always in motion, trying to prove that we are that person.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a difference between really embodying being that person versus continuing to act to like justify, right? To provide more evidence.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that difference is pausing and celebrating.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
Okay. So it might be a fun thing for you to do, to think like every day, like what is one thing I did today that I would never have done 2 months ago? And it might even be coming on here and getting coaching. It might be taking a nap in the middle of the day. It might be not beating yourself up for not wanting to go on a walk. It's not always doing the thing. Sometimes it's not judging ourselves for not doing the thing.
Yeah, I think that is the practice for me. That is as restful as an actual like action of rest. Yeah.
No. That's more restful than an action of rest. That is rest. I want all of you to hear that because it's the definition that we gave at the start of rest week.
Right.
We went here, but more important than what you are doing, like I'm all for walks and obviously I'm in bed and all that good stuff. But if you lie in bed thinking I shouldn't be in bed or I should be doing something else or I shouldn't be too long or whatever it is, it's not restful.
The Netflix example you gave in the beginning just hit so home for me, right? Like the difference between like really watching TV and just like, oh, this is so enjoyable versus sitting there with like your shoulders here, like I should be doing 30 other things. It's like, they're like worlds apart from each other. And it's both just watching TV, but the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you want to respond when your judgment brain shows up? Because she will. How do you want to respond?
First, just like, hey, your cravings are your cravings and they're going to change. And next, this idea that like one type of rest isn't superior to the other. I need to remind myself of that. So sometimes it's going to be like go eat junk food, and sometimes it's going to be take a hike in nature. And both of those could nourish me the same.
Yeah. And both of those could not nourish you.
Right.
Spend the whole time eating, thinking I shouldn't be doing this is bad, and like treat it as a punishment. You spend the time in nature thinking I should be doing emails, why did I leave work? Like, it literally is more important is the judgment. So just reminding yourself and building that relationship with that part of yourself that thinks that you have to judge or that there is a hierarchy.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's really helpful, the nuance of that types of rest in addition to the thoughts happening at the same time. That's great.
yes, so good, and well done on week 7.
Thanks. It feels mostly very good.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. It's so powerful, and I'm glad this week came at the right time for you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you for coming on. I will put you back to attendee. Amazing. All right, Helen, I'm bringing you on. So good. And that goes for all of you, by the way, since you've joined Rest Week. If there's anything, be sure to celebrate. In fact, you can come in the Facebook group and just like post a celebration of like anything. There's no hierarchy like we just discovered. Hi, Helen.
Hi, Vicky. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can also see you. I got coached a week ago by you, I think, without video.
Yes, I know. We figured it out.
I figured it out. Yeah. I did this like super spontaneously. So I just saw that you were live. So I hopped on and I thought, why not take the opportunity to talk to Vicky?
Yeah, why not? Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, so the context is that I quit my job. I'm unemployed now.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I decided to be unemployed maybe for a while, but at least in September, I kind of just wanted to take off and, just go paragliding, take it easy, do whatever I want to do and not even think about kind of the future. Mm-hmm. And it's been going, surprisingly well. Like in the last weeks, my last day was Monday. And I was like, hey, I'm surprisingly calm. I'm like ready, I moved cities now. Like I quit my lease, everything. I'm moving to another country. So I'm just going there and I was surprisingly calm. And now I've had 2 days off and now my brain is like, the fuck, what are you doing?
Oh, you didn't think your brain was going to do that?
I was like, hey, come on, we planned this. We're cool, right?
Yeah, your brain's like, yeah, we're cool until we actually do it, doing something different to what we've done before, right?
Yeah. And what's been coming up for me is like, but Helen, if you take September off and don't find a new job, and I got an opportunity, like I didn't ask for it, but something came up and I declined because it would have been just like 15 hours a week.
Sounds good to me.
Which is kind of good. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I didn't get the like hourly wage I wanted, and then I was like, I don't really want to do the job, and I don't want the wage, So I think I'm not gonna do it because I really don't want to. And my brain told me like, oh, like you should have done that. Like you would have, you would at least have some income. It would only be 15 hours. It's not so much. Now you don't have anything. And if you really don't think about employment at all during September, you won't have anything in October, right? So then you're just kind of setting yourself up for a longer term of unemployment just because you're not doing anything. So you can't really do that.
Yeah, I just want to give these sentences back to you. I don't have anything and I'm not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Are either of those facts, are they totally true?
Well, I don't have a job.
Right, but why do you think I pointed out the difference?
Well, because I'm equating having a job with having anything at all.
Yeah, even if we were to think about it just in like the employment sphere, like I don't have anything. It's like your brain is like, I must have a job today in order to have a job next month.
Yeah, I must have it lined up, kind of.
Yeah. Right. Even though you have this example of getting like something offered to you.
Yeah, but then my brain is like, that was like a one-time opportunity. You should have taken it. Now you didn't take it, it won't come back again.
Right, but you don't want that exact opportunity, but you can just use it as evidence that like there are opportunities out there that you didn't know that opportunity was going to come the day before it came, did you?
No.
You were like, tomorrow an opportunity is coming my way. I know it.
And if that doesn't happen?
If that doesn't happen, then what? Let's say we get to the end of September and you don't have a job lined up for October. What do you do? What happens?
I guess then if I want to, I'm going to start looking for one in October.
Yeah. I just want you to notice that like you decided you wanted the September off and you wanted to just do fun things and do what you want to do. But there's a part of your brain, and that's like the desire brain. And there's a part of your brain that's afraid because this is not something you do all the time. And it likes to know your next salary. It likes to know where you're going to be working. It likes to know the future. That's how we evolved. That's how we survived. Our brain was like, if we know the future, then we can be safe today. But now we know we can never know the future, right? Yeah. You could have a job now. You could take the 15-hour thing and get fired in 3 weeks. You'd be like, well, at least I have a job in October, but you don't even know that it's true.
You're right.
Quit. Versus what you created, which is like an opportunity to lean into trust.
Yeah.
With fear, I think sometimes we think trust must come without fear, but it's like trust and fear are always both going to be there. But which one do you want to listen to? And you can decide to go out and get a job today for next month or to spend the next week looking for a job for next month. You can decide to do that. But doing it because you want to calm the fear isn't going to work. And we know that because it's literally already happened, right? You want the job, but then you don't want the job, and then you want the hours and then not the wage. It's like your brain is still confused. And I'm guessing that's why you wanted to just like create the space.
Yes.
But the space is uncomfortable. And so often we think, and this is one of the themes we've spoken about, we think when I rest, when I create space, when I'm just doing what I want every day, I'll feel amazing. And it's like it feels uncomfortable before it feels amazing because it's so unknown.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess what I'm afraid, like what I really fear is that if I do this now, it will not be enough. I will want more and I'm just going to be unemployed forever.
Yeah. So it's like the trust with your future self, the trust with the experience, right? Your brain is trying to talk you out of the experience because it's unknown and it's going to make it very urgent. And it's like, I'm afraid I'll be unemployed forever. Right? You will not be unemployed forever. You will find a way to make money at some point if that's what you want to do. But just notice the extreme things. Like I pointed out that like, I don't have anything. I'm not doing anything. Like I'll be unemployed forever. It's just those kind of words are a signal that it's your fear brain. And so you don't have to rationalize your fear. You don't have to convince your fear to be on board with what you are doing. You just get to speak to it as like the expert, as the person who's owning the experience.
Yeah, okay.
Like, let me ask you this. What would trust say to the fear that you will never be employed again? What does trust say to that?
We've always found a job if we had to.
Yeah. And do you believe that?
Yeah, totally believe that.
Yeah. So sometimes we just want to invite the part of us that we want to be intentional to the conversation. The fear is like getting louder and louder and it's going to snowball or whatever it is. And you just like, okay, this is all happening. I actually want to invite trust on purpose. What would they say? Instead of just letting fear get louder and louder.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I guess, yeah, it all, yeah. I think it comes back to me, like the way I am, there's always doubt, I guess, and it will always kind of be there. Like, why are you choosing this? You could be doing anything, and you're choosing this, and it's kind of random. Is it the right choice? And I always have doubt, and then I make that mean, I kind of believe it. Like, yeah, maybe there is like an optimal choice. Maybe, spending the kind of money that I'm spending on just living right now, I could spend on something else, and then that would be better and invested, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting, this idea that there's like an optimal choice outside of us, and therefore everything else is suboptimal. Because as long as we think there's an optimal choice, because every choice is going to be a range of good and bad experiences. So if we think that there's like an optimal, morally perfect choice, it's like a way perfectionism is showing up. Then we're always going to be wrong, and we're going to make ourselves wrong for the decisions that we've made, instead of like, there's just choices and you living your life.
And learning either way.
And instead, on purpose, directing your brain, saying, what is right about this choice? What do I love about the choice that I've made? We want to keep selling ourselves on the choices we've made with a brain that is, all of our brains have doubt. And you touched on it exactly then when you said, the doubt being there isn't a problem. Everyone has doubt. But if we think the doubt being there is a problem, then we create a problem. But as well, reminding ourselves, once we made a decision, that's not the end of the story. We made the decision. We want to keep buying into that decision. What do I love about this decision? Why did I choose to give this month? Who am I going to be at the end of this month? Why do I love this for me? Why do I love this for my future self? Why is taking this month actually going to be better for my future career? Why is it going to lead me to be more successful instead of less, right?
Is that an option?
Is what an option?
That it might be better for me.
Oh my gosh. You think? You tell me, how could you taking this month be better?
Yeah, okay. How? Yeah, I mean, I might actually allow myself to rest, even if I don't know when I'll make money again. Because my brain wants to tell me, you can rest if you have something lined up. If you know, like you're going to lose X amount of money. If you know that, and you've kind of signed off on that, and then it's fine afterwards, then you can rest. And now I'm doing it the other way around. Now I'm just like, no, I want to take rest. I'm going to see where it goes. So this could be like a switch for me, where I just allow myself to rest because I want to rest.
And what changes when you allow yourself to rest just because you want to rest?
I guess I started listening to myself.
Right. And how do you think that's going to impact your career?
Like, I'm not going to let myself be burned out anymore. Like, I'm going to know when to take rest. I'm going to trust that if I do, it's going to be good for me. And it's even going to be better for me in the future. Like, it's not that I'm creating a lack, but that I'm creating a surplus.
And why might having that surplus lead you to be more successful in the future?
Because I'm doing much more than I need. I think I'm not very conscious about the time I have. Like, there is things I could just not do. Time I could just spend like with whatever I want, because the things I get accomplished then are just not what makes, like, what performs, what creates money or whatever, like, value.
So when you're not doing the things that don't produce value, what happens to the things that you do?
I guess I focus on the things that create value.
Yeah.
I have more energy for them. I'm more conscious about them. And also I create knowledge about what it is that creates value, because right now it's all murky, it's fuzzy.
Yeah, so you figure out what actually matters, and then you have more to give to what matters, and you have more space because you're not giving to things that don't matter, and more space to give to the things that you want to do just because, and to rest and so on. Like, could you see how that might potentially lead to more success and accomplishment in the future?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just a matter of like breaking it down. Like I said, when we've had one way of thinking for so long, and that way is like, the sensible thing to do is to get a job today so that you know that you're employed next month or whatever it is, versus like, I intentionally want to do less. And if I want to do less in the future, I'm going to start by doing less today. This is the value of it. So it brings up all of these stories, and then you can get coaching on it and you can get really clear on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it brings up, yeah.
Amazing. Let it bring everything up. Sometimes it comes up and we're like we want to bat it away like a fly. We're like, no, shh. Instead of like, no, that's the value of doing less, is so it brings up these things and we can solve for them.
And is it also that then we get to know ourselves and our brains better, and then when it comes up again, we're like, that old story, like I expected it.
Yeah, you get to know yourself better, build a better relationship with yourself, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Great.
Just because we create space doesn't mean it's going to be easy. In fact, it's most likely going to be uncomfortable before it's easy, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it. Okay.
Cool.
Well,
thank you so much, Vicky.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear about your month. Take care.
You too.
Amazing. Okay, Natalie, I am bringing you on. So good. Let me just check the Facebook. Nope, we're all good. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
All right. I didn't think I was seeing anyone today. Look.
Today.
That's what
All
I jumped
good. All good. You look fabulous.
Yeah. So hang on, let me just turn you up. I can't really hear you. One sec.
Yeah, turn me up.
All right, you're there. Cool.
Amazing.
All right. I do one of the things that I do in my business is VIP days.
Yes.
And they're part done together, which is amazing. And then they're part done for you, like me doing all the stuff for the client.
Yeah.
And what I actually do, I find really easy.
Yeah.
But I don't let myself find it easy. And I get myself in this like, how can I charge this much money for something that's so easy for me? I need to like add stuff, make it more difficult, all of that. And I realized this week, like through Rest Week, why I do it and like the story that I've told myself. And it is, so before I started my business, I was director in a nonprofit. I was responsible for fundraising. And again, I found fundraising easy. I made us a lot of money. But one of the ways that I protected myself in that job was by making it look hard. I made it look like I needed way longer than I really did, because what I actually needed time for was visioning and like creating the service and really like understanding what the funder wanted from us. And all of that was kind of invisible work.
Yeah.
That I didn't get time for unless I made it look like I was writing a bid at that time. And there's something about, I don't know exactly what, but there's something about these VIP days that taps me back into that in a way I don't do in the whole of the rest of my business. That's like, fuck, I've got to make this look really hard. Otherwise, they're not going to think it's worth it. And I know logically it's the opposite. Like, I totally know that. But
And then
I don't.
You don't know that.
Yeah, it's so weird.
You don't know that because what we think everyone else, like, we're not in other people's brains, right? So it's literally, and it's that age-old story that so many of us have, that like hard work is valuable. It being hard is valuable, and it being easy is not valuable. Instead of, it doesn't actually matter. Like, I'm sure your clients don't give a shit whether it's hard or easy for you, right? Sorry if people bring their kids. I know I say that it's okay, but I do swear. They literally don't care if it's hard or easy. They only care if it produces results. Same with the fundraising. It was the same thing then, right? But as long as you said, like, I protected myself. You literally used the word, I protected myself, instead of
like,
I communicated that I'm raising loads of money, and I'm doing that because of all these valuable things I'm doing, right? You're like, no, the visioning, I have to keep that like in my dirty little secret. And therefore I'm also feeding into this narrative that there are only certain things that are productive and there are certain things that aren't, and visioning isn't productive, even though your literal experience of the results you created was that was productive, right? And this is like, I think, why it's so important to be in these rooms and in these conversations, because this dialogue does exist a lot out there. That's why I created this pop-up and whatever, but you get to pioneer this way of being that, like, easy does produce results. Like, if I'm thinking about hiring someone for an area in my business, do I want to hire someone that finds it really hard or really easy? I want to hire someone that finds it really easy.
Yeah, of course you do. You hire them because they're an expert. Yeah. And I am. This work is easy for me. But the thing that makes it hard, is I fight with myself.
Yes.
I know I can just knock it out in a couple of hours. I've got this brilliant process that supports me.
Yeah.
So far, 100% of the clients have been delighted.
Yeah.
If a client's not delighted, that's all right too. Like, I trust myself to deal with that. It's not about, I think the reason I'm here is because I don't totally get why I'm fighting with myself.
Well, you tell me, why do you think you're fighting with yourself?
Do you know what's going? It's ridiculous, but I'm just going to share it. What's going on?
No judgment.
Because if I let it be easy, somehow I'm a fraud.
Oh my gosh, thank you for saying that. I promise you there are other people on this call that feel the
same. Like, that feels really fucking wonderful to share. I don't know why that's...
Yeah. I promise you it's not the first time I've heard those two things together. What's coming up now?
Yeah, I mean, it's like surprising to me, because I know I'm not a fraud. Like, my clients get really good results with the stuff we produce together. There's nothing, like, even like, I'll say the other way around. What we produce together is full of integrity.
Yeah.
And it works for them.
Yeah.
And it works for me and my life and my business.
Yeah.
So where's this, like...
Yeah. Where's the story?
Where does the fraudy bit come from?
And it's not just a fraudy bit, it's equals fraud. If something comes easy.
Yeah.
Where does that come from, can you think? Or tell me what you think about hard work.
I think it comes from being a teenager and being rewarded for looking like I was working really hard. Even though, like, in my GCSEs especially, I found all these hacks of like I literally worked out for each subject what each bit was worth and focused on the bits that were worth loads of marks, and then just like half-assed the rest and got my A, because I didn't want to spend my whole life like learning random shit that I didn't care about. I just didn't want to do it. But I got in loads of trouble for that, and loads of like, I got like personally criticized for it. Like, not just like, this isn't a good way to learn, like, you're not a good person because you're trying to find the shortcut. But I still got the A. Like,
right, but I want you to think about that. You're not a good person because you are trying to find the shortcut. Do you believe that, or is that just what you were told, and as a teenager you just like sucked it all in?
You know, well, most of me doesn't
You don't
believe
want
it, but there's still, like, I'd be lying if I said I didn't believe it, because I'm here today. Like, sharing it, like telling the story still, right? Otherwise it would just be something I left behind then, but it's still here somehow.
Firstly, of course, it's still here, and this is like, I think, a big theme that has come up today is this idea that like we don't need to get rid of stories 100% in order to move forward. But do you choose to believe it? Like, this sentence might still come up. How do you want to respond to it? What did your teenage self, like, what would you say to your teenage self immediately after she's been told that she's naughty because she's found these patterns?
Well, she didn't really give a fuck. I just did what I wanted back then. But somehow now I don't. It's weird.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because the stakes feel higher now. Like, I've built this business and it's working and I fucking love it. And there's something in me that it's like micromanaging it somehow. I don't know. Like, it can't be that easy. What if it falls away? And it's not like it's growing. It's not falling away. And it is easy apart from this one bit. It's just I do this thing all the time. So it makes it hard. Yeah.
And what's the actual thing that you are doing that's making it harder?
I'm telling myself, don't start that now. It's going to feel really hard. It's about the starting. Because when I'm doing it, I get in flow. It feels really creative. I love it. I send it to the client. They're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Done.
So what do you want to respond when that part of you shows up and says, don't start, it's going to be really hard?
Just let me start. It might be easier than we think.
Yeah, like, we don't need to argue with her. We don't need to, like, that's the invitation to like build resistance and create problems that aren't there, or it's the opportunity to be like, no, I've got you. And I would just like really settle into like, why is it better that it's easy? Why is it better that you figured out those hacks? Why is that actually, just to balance out, like, of course, schools don't teach us that, but you probably don't even agree with the way that we were taught in schools anyway, by the sound of things, if that's how you, right? Like the exam systems and whatever, like, I'm sure we could all have an interesting discussion here on it, but it's like taking in stories from people or systems that we don't even actually stand with. You know what I mean?
Oh, do you know what? I think this is maybe it. I think probably all of us, like for sure me, I'm doing entrepreneurship because I'm creating something different. So backing myself to work differently, not just like produce something different or like the results are different or whatever, but like the actual like how I'm doing this thing. There's like there's a leadership there.
Right. This is it. Like, you kind of given me like the perfect segue to speak about the 15-hour work week, but we are going to finish in a few minutes. But what I speak about there, it's like pioneering a new way of work. Just because we've done something before is not a reason that it's better. Just because someone else, a manager or a school or whatever, created a system of doing something does not mean that's a system to do it. And in fact, I think one of, unfortunately, the big ways that leaders and pioneers in their own industries, in their own spheres, like, we accidentally become sheep by thinking that we are working wrong because we aren't following the like corporate way of working or how we were taught working. So for you, I would really settle into like, why am I proud of this? Why is this actually why I'm going to be more successful? Why is working my way the exact reason why my clients want to hire me? Why is this why I'm able to create the results? Like, it literally, I want you all to listen to this. It doesn't matter how you do what you do. We've been taught to focus on what we are doing over the results we are creating. If you are creating the results, it literally doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it takes you 3 hours or 30 hours. But if you can do it in 3, why not? Can you feel like proud for yourself for this?
Yeah, like I've a couple of times I have done it in 3. I'm just like, fuck, that was amazing. Now I get to like spend the rest of the day doing whatever it is that I want to do.
Yeah. Because your clients literally don't give a shit how many hours you're spending on something. They just don't.
Or if anything, I think they want me to spend, like for me as a client, when I'm hiring someone, it's like what you were saying, you don't want to hire the person that's struggling. You want to hire a person that like can do it in their sleep. They've done it 100 times before. They know exactly how to pinpoint like the essentials and leave everything else out.
Yeah.
And like that's who I want to hire.
Yeah. And this idea of like fraud being related to something being hard or easy just comes from the narrative that we've all been taught, which is like hard work is like morally superior, like things should be hard and that's like celebrated. We can do hard things and like all of that narrative versus like we can do hard things, but if it's easy, we can also do it easy.
Yeah. Do you know, I thought that would actually really help me is let me give them who they think they're hiring.
Mm-hmm.
Because not even who they think they're hiring, who they are hiring, like who I turn up as on our half day that we spend together is not this. It's I'm grounded, confident, I guide the process, I know exactly what like we need to do, I know exactly how to hold space for like all the bits that we do. That's who they think they're hiring. And it is who they're hiring as well, but then I kind of lose sight of her when I'm doing my own thing. Like I would never turn up to a client call like this. So why am I doing this for me, you know?
Yeah, but also like I would just get really clean in terms of like you are as valuable right now as you are then. You know what I mean? Like I just would be careful to not like create like a morally superior way. Instead, I would invite you to like love all parts of you and be like, actually, because again, it's like not about how you show up, it's about the results that you create. And my guess is if a client called you now and was like, I need you to do this thing today, you could still turn it around, even if you look like that. So yeah. Again, it's focusing on the like how instead of the who you are being. Right? Like you just know how to do something very well. It doesn't matter how you show up. Does that make sense?
It kind of just does for me though. Because when I'm backing myself,
yeah,
like when I'm being kind to myself, I do show up a bit differently. Like this is a reflection of giving myself a really hard time. I totally get what you're saying, that like I don't think I'm worth less because I'm not wearing makeup today. Like for sure not.
Yeah.
But there's something about the care for myself at the same time as doing the thing, you know?
Yeah. So exactly. So, you know, to just take care of yourself and be kind to yourself and to have you back. And sometimes having you back means letting your brain call you a fraud and not arguing with it and not fighting with it, but just being like, I love you and I know where this has come from and it's not true. Even letting other people think you're a fraud. Right? Like, I think sometimes we think being kind to ourselves is always like positive self-talk, and it like can be, but it's also not beating ourselves up when we have the negative self-talk too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, thanks.
How fun to discover that what you do is actually easy for you. You actually produce client results and you're working how you want to work instead of how you've been told to work.
That's the whole point, right?
I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming on. All right, lovely. Okay, I'm going to do one more and then we are out. Catherine, I'm bringing you on. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So great to be here.
So good to have you.
And fun to have this opportunity being, I think 4 months in Time Hackers.
Yes.
And so thanks for this, because I feel like I'm kind of at this place where with my actual time, I feel really proud of how I'm managing. I have a full-time job. I'm growing my coaching business. And I feel spacious as I just moved to a new city to meet people, all the juiciness.
So good.
And I think the next level of my evolution, and like my heart is racing actually saying this because that's like, feels scary, but like true, is that even though the hour breakdown feels very manageable, I have like spent a lot of time ruminating about, are they going to think I'm doing a bad job at the job? Is my coaching business actually suffering because I'm not like killing myself? Like all these things. And I know it's the underlying belief is I'm not enough.
Yes. I'm not doing enough. It's always I'm not enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm at this place where like, I'm so grateful to myself for having set up even the circumstances to uncover this belief. And I literally now feel like I'm kind of staring at my hands like this isn't something that I just model out and then look for a new model.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since I've like unearthed the big one, and I just feel a little lost.
Yeah. So just separately, I would go and watch the video on umbrella beliefs in Time Hackers, just FYI. But yeah, okay, this thought's come up, and why do you feel lost?
The gravity of it feels just so big. And like believing that I'm not enough because I don't have certain things in my life that I want is like so black and white and so easy for my brain to understand. But to be like, no, I'm enough because I'm an expression of the divine and I'm a human who has inherent worth is like not as crystal clear.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's not just shifting into it feels like it's shifting into like a really new way of looking at life. And it's not taking very quickly. And another thing is I think I'm seeing where this belief has like affected me in unsupportive ways. And I'm like, I've got to change this now.
Yeah, which puts a lot of pressure on it. Right. And then it becomes like a race. And the more we want to race, what happens?
Yeah, I think the urgency probably is not like the state of peace that my brain wants.
Yeah, it's like it creates like a franticness. We're like, we must solve this. And we stop paying attention to what's happening when we are telling ourselves we're not enough. And we stop paying attention to like anything that would allow us to solve for it because we're so busy running around in that franticness. It's the opposite of giving to yourself as well. And we're like in the franticness, in the rush, it's like where I am now is not enough. In this belief is not enough. Therefore, I'm rejecting myself and even my current experience. It's like pouring gasoline on the fire.
Yeah. This is often how I've approached my thought work is like with haste.
Yeah. What if this is an actual opportunity to slow down and give to this thought instead of, so often we're like, oh, I found this problem, I must change it. Instead of like, no, I'm going to give to this story. I'm not going to take from it. I'm not going to try and change it. I'm not going to try and jump over it. I'm just going to be present with it.
It feels like embarrassing.
Why does it feel embarrassing?
Because what my brain has made, the reasons that it is made for me being not enough are like things that like the feminist, like activist part of me like vehemently disagrees with.
Right. So there's like your intentional self, and then there's your indoctrinated self, right? And do we want to be embarrassed because we've been indoctrinated?
Right.
Because if anything, that is even more like, again, pouring fuel on the fire that you don't want to get stronger. Like, what does your highest self want to say to the part of you that's been indoctrinated or taught to believe things that you actually consciously wouldn't say ever?
It's like, of course, that's been the whole narrative. That's what everyone in your lineage thought. That's what all people in your community have thought.
Mm-hmm.
So it's natural. We work by osmosis.
Yeah.
We're like creatures of culture.
Yeah. She like, it's a problem. It's embarrassing. She can't be here. Shut up. They're going to hide you away. Mm-mm.
It feels so unfamiliar to approach a belief that I don't want with compassion.
Yes. But why do you think I might have suggested that?
It feels like softness. There's something about like softness, like easing things out rather than like forcing things out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I'm like, are you sure, Vicky?
Yeah. You're like, but I really want to get rid of it. But it's like just the constant self-rejecting.
Yeah.
And the compassion for, the understanding of, and the like, no need to rush out the room. Like, this can all be there and it doesn't need to stop you doing anything. Like, this like taught, learned way of thinking, way of being, stories, narratives, like, it's not a problem unless we make it a problem and we give all our energy to fighting it and getting rid of it, because it's probably still going to show up sometimes. Instead of, what relationship do you want to have with the I'm not enough story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't really ever appear so clearly. It appears like with other thoughts that are just reflections of that.
Yeah. And that's what you'll see in the umbrella belief story. It's like an umbrella is like a big belief, and underneath it, it's held up by prongs of like these micro beliefs that are all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, what you could say is like, I actually want to give myself the opportunity to connect those more and sooner so that I can meet it with compassion, which is very different to meeting it with embarrassment or rejection or like a force, which is way heavier. And I just want to offer you all, you might not want to hear this, but there is no place that you get to where you never have a thought ever that you are not enough. For me, it's like, I'm a bad person. Like, I just think the idea that we will never, ever, 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 ever have that thought again, like, it doesn't matter. We have 40 or 60,000 thoughts every single day. Having it isn't the problem. What we make it mean, when we use it to self-reject, that's when we create it being a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This feels very new, but I'm open to it.
Yeah. Like, how is it an opportunity when that story shows up? How is it an opportunity to love yourself more, to move more towards into your feminist power?
Yeah. Right. I think seeing it as like one of the many parts rather than like the part that needs to get out of this party is like kind of radical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being able to love yourself and love that part of you that has that story, instead of like, shut up. No one can know.
Right.
Like, oh my God, everyone can know. Come on, let's talk about it.
Right. Yeah, that's so true.
It's just so different. And then when we're not busy fighting or rejecting, because that actually makes that thought stronger and stronger. When we're like, oh, like, no big deal. I promise you have 39,900 thoughts a day that you just don't think are a big deal, and they don't stick as much. So what we would just want to think about is like, is this, story that I have around this belief making it stickier or less sticky? Like, it's probably going to make it stickier if I'm telling myself it's wrong and it's a problem to be solved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like mind-blowing that it might not be a problem.
Right. Just sit with that. Because if it is, to go meta on you, if like I'm not enough is a problem, then you make yourself not enough because you have the thought I'm not enough. So it fuels it.
Right. Oh my gosh. It's like, well, I'm not enough until this belief is changed.
Yes. Which means it will never be enough because we keep trying to fight this belief.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which is totally like, well, I'll love my body when.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
As long as, I want you all to notice this, as long as it's ever attached to something outside of you, the moment you're like, when means never. I just want this one thing and then I'll do it means no, I'm not gonna. Like, it's always going to be something we chase until it's something we choose. Choose it now. I'm enough and I have the thought that I'm not enough. I'm enough because I have the thought that I'm not enough.
Yeah. It requires like that, even that like asks of us such a more loving approach to life.
Mm-hmm. It's way more fun, way more loving, way gentler,
So
way
much
easier, all things.
Yeah.
And in the end, way faster to solve.
So
good.
Yeah. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Very different from how my self-coaching was going, I'll tell you that.
Perfect. Well, this was all meant to be.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So fun. All right, lovely people. I am just before I go, you guys have seen it in the group. You've seen it on my email list. It's happening, the 15-hour work week mastermind. Doors are open. If you are a successful entrepreneur, run into that room. We are having conversations around time and around what's possible and around how we work that are not happening anywhere else. And much like the coaching I gave earlier, it's all about, really, if I was to sum it up in one sentence, pioneering a new way of work and this pioneering mindset that says, I will not follow, I will lead, even when it's uncomfortable. I will lead and create more space. I will lead and create more rest. I will lead because I want a life outside of work. I don't want work-life balance. I want life balance. And it's just the reason why I speak about this so much. You guys may not know where it all came from, but I first heard one of my mentors speak years ago about how she had a 15-hour week. And I was like, I want that. But it was kind of like I want that. And then what happened when I got pregnant or friends have gotten ill or lost people or whatever it's been, I've realized that we live in this culture of like, hours is value. You are valued for the hours you work. Whether you're an entrepreneur or an employee, that's still a lot of the culture out there. And I want to change that culture. And when you join this room, you're going to change your life and you are going to change the culture and the conversations around you. Like we've already seen it with the first class, where it's like, you don't have to be busy to be successful. And we stop prioritizing and glamorizing busy over the results that we want to create, where we stop creating a situation for women when they have kids, where they basically have to leave their job because it's still defined in terms of hours worked instead of value created and results created. So if you want to pioneer this new way of work, and I shared this on the last call, but my ambition with this is that it's not just for entrepreneurs, it's for everyone. Like the veganism movement that I quote, whereby McDonald's now makes vegan sandwiches because of the grassroots movement that made it very clear and very loud and very unavoidable for any big corporation, food corporation, to not do anything about. And that's what I see happening here. We are going to work 15-hour weeks, yes, but we are going to work 15-hour weeks and create more success and have more fun and get louder and have more impact and more results, so much so that like the Deloittes of the world or even the McDonald's of the world can't help but notice that the 15-hour work week is optimized, that we as humans, as creatives, as females, as neurodivergent people, we actually are optimized when we work less. We actually produce more. It's not like at a cost. It's not because it's nice, it's because it's the most productive thing that we can do. So you can just go to vickylouise.com/15. If you are watching this and you are an entrepreneur that's not made six figures, or you are not an entrepreneur, then Time Hackers is the place for you. You just saw Catherine speak a little bit about it. Again, inside the group, we are speaking all about it. It's where we go to achieve results in the fastest time without hustling. All right, lovely people, that's it from me today. Bye, love.